Hello everyone, and I'm Danielle Andrews, and today I'm joined here with Dave, and today we're going to be talking about our kind of recording process, how we write songs, how we produce them, and get to the final product.
Momentarily, you'll be away with the angels.
So the first thing is really we come up with an idea, don't we?
We try.
And I think that is kind of one of the hardest parts. We've just spoken about it, kind of we both have different ways of how we come up with ideas.
I think you're a bit different from me, aren't you?
Yeah, so I normally start with lyrics or have like a random idea, but I think you start with...
I'll start the other way around probably, from music more. So I'll probably be strumming away on the guitar, I guess, and then try and get a melody or something like that in my head that fits.
Mm-hmm. In terms of writing lyrics, we kind of just share them with each other and see if the other's got any ideas. Yeah,
well, we've written things and then sort of showed them to each other and then played around with them and changed them a little bit. That's worked well. I must admit, I find it really difficult. Words. I hate doing the lyrics. I find it really difficult. But I suppose one of the tricks that I've used is, have you heard of Rhyme Zone?
On the web,
yeah. And if I've got a sentence or just one line, and then I'll look up the last word maybe and try and get something that rhymes with that. That can then sometimes make my mind go a different way.
Definitely, I've done that before, where you think, I want this to rhyme. I mean, it doesn't always have to rhyme song lyrics, but sometimes it can then give you another idea. Okay, so I think we're just going to talk about, how many songs have we written now?
It's about 9, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, quite a few. They've all taken a while, but I think we're going to talk about some of our favourite song lyrics and kind of maybe why we like them so much. So I don't know, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll kick off. One of the current ones, I guess, Cure. And one of the lines on it, it's the first line as well. This is a Cure, 1082, patient number 63. I never ever come up with anything like that. It's something that's it's random and it's, I don't know, I just never think of anything like that. So to me, that's a great line.
And I mean, people listening to the song, they probably question, what does that mean? Why them numbers? Why? But,
I think I asked you that at the time.
But it is completely random. Random numbers, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's really, I love that one. Love that one. Another one is Misty Eyes, and I like this for different reasons, really. There's one line in each of the verses, and the first verse, it's got misty eyes and butterflies messing with my head, and I just love that because it's like, you can sort of the mists and the sort of things fluttering around.
It's quite good imagery, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
Quite a nice image that. And that sort of goes into the second verse, and it's similar again, where I've devised and analysed decisions that I've made. And I like the fact that it's devised and analysed, and you've got eyes and butterflies. It's the rhyming, but it's sort of different from how it would normally happen in a verse. And in the last verse, it's I've fantasised and realised I really have to cope. And I don't know.
That one that is kind of links all the way through the song. Although the lyrics is different, it links every verse together, which is really nice, and it is the same kind of rhyming, but it's not typically how it would be rhymed. So mine are 4 letters, and I don't know, this one kind of, to me, it kind of feels like it tells a bit of a story, which is kind of different to what we've done before on the other ones. I kind of like all the words, but I really like the bridge, which is out of time, out of luck. I really hope this is enough. And it repeats, and in the song it kind of builds quite nicely, so I really like that section. And then it kind of strips back down, so I really like that section, how the lyrics work. And then the next one is Streetlights, which is the first song that I ever wrote, and I feel like it just means a lot to me, and I I just really like all of the words, but this chorus especially, which is I'll rely on the street lights, lead me through my darkest nights, guide me straight to you, the path is clear, now I know too, and then it repeats again. I don't know why I thought of street lights, but again, it's quite nice imagery. I can kind of, we haven't filmed a video for it yet, but I can kind of picture how the music video would look, kind of with street lights, it's dark, kind of walking around. So yeah, I don't know, I think I probably like it more because it was the first one I wrote. I mean, I wrote it when I was like 14, which is really ridiculous now. So yeah, those are some of our favourite lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, we like all the songs, don't we?
Of course.
So it's quite hard to pick favourites, but yeah, you will be hearing all of the songs soon, hopefully. So after we've written the whole lyrics and kind of decided those are the final ones, we then go on to, what would you call this section?
But it's sort of arranging, isn't it? And thinking about how whether we want a verse, chorus, bridge, whatever, you know, how we sort of arrange that, and also thinking in terms of how the song builds. You might want to start really simple with just an acoustic guitar or a synth or something like that, and how we build it and get sort of different layers going during the song. And it could be that actually we feel like we want to strip it back at a certain part and really sort of go back to basics. Yeah. And it might even just drop out into just the voice or just the drums going or whatever. But it's about creating that interest, isn't it, really?
And I think a lot of the time once we've got the lyrics, we then kind of sit down and have a discussion of what kind of instruments we want, what sound we want. And like a lot of the time we talk about other artists, what they're doing, and we kind of pick a song that we think is similar to, so then we kind of both know we're on the same page of how we want it to sound. I mean, our songs kind of have the same kind of sound, which is good. But yeah, so we discuss kind of what instruments we're going to put where in the song, so whether there's going to be a piano in the chorus, piano in the bridge or whatever, where the guitar's going to go, all of that to kind of build a structure, so then we know where we're going from there. I mean, it does change as we go along, definitely.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And I think it's with like kind of once you're building it, it's like playing around with different sounds in MIDI and kind of recording different things. I mean, you do most of the kind of building it, and then we come back and then start recording. But I don't know, is there a certain way that you decide how it's all going to work together, or is it just a matter of playing around and I like that?
I suppose I go over it several times until I get something with ideas and try different ideas out. Sometimes I bring in MIDI loops and things, just to try things, and I might bring in 10 or 15 or whatever MIDI loops. Doesn't necessarily I'm going to mean that I'm going to use them all. Might end up with just using a couple in the end, but it's just trying things out, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, MIDI loops are really useful for coming up with ideas, and that sounds good with that, or no, that doesn't sound so good.
I suppose the other thing is sometimes think about it with the arrangement, about what sort of frequencies that we've got going on. So you know, you got the bass frequencies, you got your middle, you got your highs. So trying to get a sort of a balance of different things that are going on in terms of instrumentation, just so that it isn't all like bottom heavy or mid heavy. And then after we've kind of got the structure and we've kind of got the main bits in, we then start recording. So what order do you kind of record? Obviously I'll try and get the structure out, so I'd probably have a marker track or something like that, and I'd just probably start with just a tempo sync and just play along and get a guide track together maybe, and then I'd try and get what is probably the main rhythm section going, so I'd be thinking about the drums or you know, whatever we're going to have on in the background there. So I'm not bothered about the bass at this stage, it's just the drums and the rhythm section going. And I'd work that out as to what I want, how I want it to build. And I'd play around with it. I use Easy Drummer a lot, and he's Superior Drummer. And I'd just play around with it, basically. And bring different loops in and, you know, different MIDI bits in, and until I get something that I feel is, you know, sort of feeling right to me. Sometimes I leave it at that and I just go with doing some, other recording,
Yeah.
and then I'll come back to the rhythm section later when I feel like I've created a bit more ideas wise.
So you're saying you then record the guitar section?
Yeah, I'd probably start with guitar because that's what I probably feel more comfortable with, to be honest. And then I'd be looking at probably bringing in some pads or that sort of side of it. Might do the bass guitar.
And then what we usually do is then once kind of the majority of the track is kind of down, kind of the way we want it, we then record the main vocals.
Yes, sometimes it's nice to build the track and get it really sounding quite well before you do the vocals, because then I suppose you sort of adapt to what you're listening to and how you sing it. I don't know. I think you're the maestro here.
I think it is. Yeah, I mean, when you've got the song there, you know how it's going to sound, so you kind of know how you want to sing it. I mean, you know the notes, you know the melody, but with all of the track there, you know kind of where your voice is going to sit in the track. So you kind of know how to, like, if there's a quieter bit, if there's like kind of say a bridge, stripped back, you then know that you have to kind of sing that kind of in that way. But then again, sometimes we do it when there's not as much there, and then build from that, because then we can do it the other way around and then build from the way we've sung it.
Yeah.
But I think I prefer recording once it's all there and ready. I don't know, I just feel like you can then, you're hearing it as it's going to sound.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I'm with you there, although sometimes it's nice to put a guide vocal on.
Yes.
Early on, so that you've got that,
structure,
you've got it there and you can play to that almost, and with your arrangement.
Yeah.
And then you can come back and record later on.
I think an important thing is that how long it takes, like the timing of it all. I mean, I don't know how long it takes you to record and edit guitar, but in terms of vocals, it does take quite a while. I mean, how many takes do we normally do? Like, we try and do 3 takes of each section usually, don't we?
We do, yeah.
But then sometimes we can record the whole thing. It normally takes, an hour and a half, 2 hours to do like a whole song for the main vocal. But sometimes you can do that, and then again, as we said before, like listen to it back and think, we need to record that again.
Yeah.
So then you'll have to do the whole process again, 3 takes, which will take another hour and a half, 2 hours. And then after you've done that, then we then record the backing vocals and the doubles, which can then take the same amount of time again. So if you put that all together, that's quite a lot of time just to record the vocals. And then I think one thing we've learned recently is kind of making sure you get it right when you're recording it, because there's so much you can do with editing, but you want to get the take that you want when you're recording, because it then means it's less work to do afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy, I think, to rush that.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got somebody who's there with you and you feel like they're restricted by time or whatever, and you want to get on and do it. And it is so important, I think, to set up properly.
Yeah.
Rather than getting hot levels of, or it's just not sounding how you want it. Or the mic placement. It's you're either too near and you've got plosives happening, or you've got, or you're too far away and it feels a bit too distant. And so it's just playing around with those things. And I think you just need to. I feel like we need to make time to do that before we actually start recording.
And it's like, with this whole lockdown thing, we were trying to record things separately, weren't we? So I was trying to record here, but that would mean that I was then doing it by myself, and it's kind of, we said the other day that it's so much easier and better having someone doing it with you, because they can then give you tips on how you can do it better, kind of if there's plosives or if you're pronouncing a word slightly wrong and it's coming across slightly weird, they can then just quickly correct you. You can then sing it a few more times, get the take that you want, and then it's done, rather than having, you record the whole song and then you think that one word doesn't sound right and then you have to go back and do it all again. So it's definitely easier when we do it together, I find anyway.
And once we've then done our recording, it's then about listening back, isn't it? And I guess to a certain extent we're listening back as we record. Yeah. We get an idea of which takes
is the best.
Is sounding good, but it's remembering that, isn't it, as you go through the track. But what we normally then go back is through different sections and choose those bits that we like or phrases that we like that have come out particularly nice, and comping it all together until we got a whole take.
I mean, sometimes you can have a phrase and the first half of the phrase is really good, but you did the end word a lot better on the third take than you did on the first, so you just then take that last word and then put it on the first one and make the best take that you have, really. So it's just listening back and kind of reflecting on what you want it to sound like, and then after that it's about kind of, so once you've comped it, it's like editing the vocals, it's like Melodyne and then all of that. So you can
just tuning in
that,
and just occasional quantizing or whatever, just to get it sounding right. The other thing is with breaths and sibilants as well. Sometimes I leave breaths in because it can create almost an ambience to the song, especially if it's a quite intimate song or we've recorded it quite close to the mic. You might want that breath there.
And breaths kind of make it sound natural, doesn't it? I mean, I know I recorded a song not too long ago and there was a section where it kind of, the one line ended and it went straight into the next one, and I recorded it and I left the breath out and it didn't sound natural because it was like I wouldn't have been able to sing that whole section without taking a breath. So sometimes having the breath in makes it sound natural, which sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. I guess. Sometimes it's distracting and you feel like let's take it out, especially when you've got like loads of double takes going on. And it can get, a lot. So then after we've kind of got everything recorded that we want to record, it's then about the kind of editing process we've kind of touched on, and then like the processing on what you put on the tracks after to make them sound as best as they can. So is there a way that you work through the different tracks and put processing on them separately, or then do you kind of do it all at the same time?
How do I do that? Well, I suppose I start, once I've done all the editing, whatever, and you're ready to mix, I start by gain staging to make sure that the tracks are in the right sort of volumes and not too hot, or pare them back or whatever, get them sort of right. And then I start with what I call a static mix. So at this stage, it's about just creating a balance and maybe a little bit of panning in there as well. But I'm certainly taking off all of the processing. I just take the raw tracks as they are and I try to balance those faders so that I can hear more or less everything in the mix. And there could be certain sections where maybe the voice disappears a little bit more, or guitars disappear a bit more, but as long as on the whole I've got something where I can hear them more or less there. So it's all about getting that static mix right. And then once I've done that, created that, I'll probably then look at introducing something like a mix bus and do a little bit of processing on that, very light processing, and maybe on the drum bus as well, and just get those sort of sounding a little bit better maybe, so the whole track sort of, just got that little bit of maybe a bit more about it, and then from that I'll go into the individual tracks, and I'll probably start with the drums, to be honest, and just trying to get the bottom end of the rhythm section going right. So I'll do the drums first. And then I normally go through things like I'll probably put the bass guitar next, so that's those two working together, drums and bass, and then I'll pick something out that is probably more rhythm section, so it could be acoustic guitars, and get that going right. And I'll probably bring in the voices fairly soon, so that I've got the sort of where I want, so I try and get that right near the start. And then I'll start building through with pads and electric guitar and that sort of thing.
I mean, it's a very hard thing, because if you think, a lot of the time we have a lot of different instruments on the track, and it's like if you were in a room and there was 10 people talking to you at the same time, you wouldn't be able to hear everyone. But with like mixing and mastering, you're able to pick the things out that you want the listener to hear, and that you've got to kind of get that right. And I think that's what takes a song from like one level to the next, up to the next level, and that's how we got Cure sounding, I think, so good. You know, it's on Spotify now, and it sounds, you know, like it could have been recorded professionally. And like you listen to another song just after it, and it doesn't sound any better or worse. So that kind of last process is kind of really important in getting it sounding good.
Yeah. I suppose once we've mixed the individual tracks and looked at things like EQ and compression, to get those sitting right in the mix, I probably then think more about the reverbs and the delays and what I want. There might be delays that I only want in certain sections or on a certain part of the voice. Once I've decided on that and got that fitting right, it's probably later that I'll look at the automation behind all that. So it's you can just play around with the automation to get different sections and different instruments fitting right in the mix.
Because in some sections there's, you know, you want to hear more instruments more than in other sections, and sometimes, although effects are normally to make it sound better, but sometimes therefore an effect on a section, so say the bridge, you kind of want it to sound different to the rest of the song, so you're going to have different processing on that section than you would for the rest of the song.
And sometimes as well, I play around in mono. I mix in mono.
Really?
Yeah, I've been mixing probably mostly in stereo, but just to see if things are quite well balanced, I flick over to mono. And that sort of sometimes makes things stand out. Yeah. And then I think, maybe I've got to bring that bit further back. Yeah, it's just a little trick maybe, it just seems to help. And then I suppose it's once we've got everything feeling more or less how we want it, I guess at that stage we're both listening to the track together at that point. Yeah. And making some fine adjustments maybe. Yeah. And then once we're sort of happy with that, I'll start probably mastering it. Yeah. And there I'm looking for like different levels of the level of loudness for commercial use. Yeah. And controlling some of the peaks that are occurring in the song. And once we've got sort of those to the right levels, I'll then start referencing as well. Against other tracks, particularly something that I feel might be similar, or that I particularly like, and I'll do that once I've got it recorded out. I then listen on different environments. So I think that's quite important, because I quite often find that I can listen to it up in the studio and it sounds great. Go out and play in the car and it's absolutely rubbish. That's something we do. We like to listen on loads of different kind of speakers, headphones, all of that, because most of the time, and it can be frustrating sometimes, like you edit it and master it in a studio which you've got really good studio speakers, but most of the time people are going to listen on their iPhone or their laptop, so you've got to make sure it sounds good on everything, because not everyone has the same studio speakers that you do, and strangely the type of speaker that you listen to, it can change how it sounds, which just doesn't really make much sense, but you've got to make sure that it kind of suits and fits all. Yeah, I find that quite frustrating, to be honest, at times. Yeah. So I don't know how many times I've been backwards and forwards between mixing stuff out. Yeah. It's not uncommon to go like 20 times in there. Yeah, but it's just one of them things you have to do, I guess. It is, but it's worth it, isn't it? It is worth it. I mean, I don't know, I can probably look on my laptop how many times that you sent me over Cure to listen to, and we were like, this is the final version, and then it never was. I've probably got, and they're all dated, and there's so many versions of the song, and you listen to the song and it's quite a long song, it's 5 minutes, but you think that wouldn't take all of what we've just spoken about, but it does. Don't know whether there's anything else you want to add? I don't think so. That's been really useful for me. Yeah, it's been good to talk about it, because you don't actually think about the whole process really. It's kind of just, you kind of do the bit that you're kind of working on and then you move on. And then sometimes also, when we kind of got into writing the album, there was kind of one song was at one stage, another song was at a different stage, wasn't it? So it was kind of you going between
different stages of different songs. But I think it's worked well. I think we've worked well on it, and we've got them all sounding pretty good now, haven't we? And they're ready to go.
Can't wait to get it out there.
I know. And it will be out as soon as we can release it, and as soon as it's safe to do so, as I've said. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you have any other questions for us, you can leave them in the comments below, and we'll try and answer them as best we can. We might do another podcast like this if you like it. I mean, it's been quite good. I've enjoyed just sitting and talking about it. So yeah, if you have any other suggestions for podcasts, again, leave them in the comments below. And I think that's it from us, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great, yeah.
So we'll see you in the next video.
Yep.
This is a cure, 1000